This is a very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration in the way he's attacking things, and the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this.
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things, I think he is, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only...
I have a really hard time believing this.
This is 100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had in an entire first term, Kate Baldwin. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
To the US now, transgender prisoners in America say they're living in fear after a roundup that will send them packing to men's lockups. following an executive order from President Donald Trump.
But lawyers are trying to find a way to fight the order, saying the prisoners will have a target on their backs as they move in with hardened male inmates. Joining us now is host of Brad versus Everyone podcast, Brad Palumbo himself. Thank you very much for joining us as always. Brad, it was dangerous, in my view, to put men in women's only prisons in the first place under the guise of being trans. But why is it always about the feelings of men and not the safety of women? Thank goodness Donald Trump is putting an end to this madness.
Yeah, look, this is a win for sanity. It is a crazy and completely unreasonable thing that in America, in blue states, and also at the federal level, we have put biologically male prisoners in women's prisons, including in some cases actual sex offenders and double murderers. Progressive groups like the ACLU have argued that that is a human right and that that is woke and progressive to put biologically male criminals in women's prisons. No, you're endangering women. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. Now, look, of course, in the men's prisons, trans women may face some form of abuse and they should be protected from that like any prisoner should. Maybe that means they have to be isolated in a separate ward or something else, but the solution is not to put murderers in women's prisons, male murderers in women's prisons. And the fact that anyone ever thought that was reasonable or appropriate, honestly, is the kind of reason that Trump won the election. A pushback against the cultural and political insanity in this country that normal, everyday people got very fed up with, and it's not hard to see why.